Yeah, that's all I need. Yeah. Huh? Very good, yeah. I don't have my phone with me,
But you have my address.
and I can give it to you.
Yeah, yeah, great.
Yeah.
I would like to do it. I would sell it. Yeah.
You can
It'll
sell
probably
it.
be worth a lot.
Yeah, probably, I think, Maybe as much as these guys are going to get from buying the fruit and vegetables of Aurobindo.
Well, Narad tried the same thing. You know, guys came to the place, wanted the mangoes. You don't remember? Oh, you
No,
were. I think you had already left, maybe.
maybe so, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, they tried that already.
Wow.
It didn't work. Because the people just said no, and then the villagers, some of them threatened to fight. We had Gerard there, and Gerard scared them. I mean, Gerard Marshal.
Oh,
He scared them to death, and they all ran away, and they wouldn't take the mangoes.
ah,
Yeah. So things like that will happen again.
oh, I hope so.
Hello. Good. You're back from your journey?
Yeah, it was very short.
Or I had a great journey though. I went to Hyderabad to that big world conference.
I know the spiritual conference. How was it?
Oh, it was fantastic. I couldn't believe it. I was so surprised.
I wanted to go too.
It's another world, I tell you.
Why were you surprised? You knew it was going to be fantastic.
No, I didn't.
Really?
No, I had no idea. Those things can be very bad, very bad.
Well, you had a positive attitude.
I had a positive attitude, and I went and it was reinforced. In Hyderabad. You know this there's this heartfulness group. They're all over the world, and they took 22 square kilometers of barren land, and they built a whole center. You can't believe it. It's got everything, and they can accommodate 20,000 people, but they said 70,000 are going to come to this thing, so they had to put out tents and all this, but 100,000 came.
My gosh.
100,000. And our dear secretary, she gave a wonderful talk there. Yeah, and they had, Deepak Chopra, all these people were supposed to come. They had a list of maybe 80 gurus from around India, Satguru, all those people. Haji Mama, everybody.
They all came?
No.
Oh,
I would say half of them came. And some were on Zoom. Some came on Zoom. But the guy I wanted to see, he came. Firzi, the Sufi master. And so many wonderful people were there.
Narad, it's live. It's good.
I'm ready. In the unfolding process of the self, we have to look at this line because self is capitalized. And Sri Aurobindo tells us in the essays on the Gita, the self, capital S, is our self-existent being. And in Letters on Yoga, he says, the self is being, not a being. By self is meant the conscious, essential existence, one in all. In the synthesis of yoga, our highest self, which possesses and supports this universal power, the divine will, is not our ego self, not our personal nature. It is something transcendent and universal, of which these smaller things are only foam and flowing surface. Wow. Sometimes The inexpressible mystery elects a human vessel of descent. These two lines mean so much, these three lines to me. First of all, he capitalizes mystery, and he calls it an inexpressible mystery. And it is the divine consciousness who elects a human vessel of descent. Sri Aurobindo talks so much about this. When he entered a human body, he didn't know anything. The mind was inactive because there's such a shock at this descent into the human form. So his father doesn't allow him to learn any languages except English. He sends him off to England. Sri Aurobindo doesn't know a word of Bengali. And he studies. And he becomes this human vessel of descent. Slowly, because the ego is still involved. He wants to free India. And he realizes that his ego is behind this, no matter how high the aspiration. And he has to get rid of that. And then he receives this call to go south. I think it was from this saint, this lady. And he comes south, and he has to hide in Pondicherry. And I was fortunate to be able to meet this Tamil lady who let me go into the house where Sri Aurobindo was secreted away. And you had to walk up these small stairs, and then there was just a small little room, and they would send food up through a little opening. It had a cover on it, a wooden cover, and they would open that cover, send a message or food up to him, and he lived there for over a year. But he's a human vessel of descent. A breath comes down from a supernal air. What is a synonym for supernal, everybody? Heavenly. A presence is born. A guiding light awakes. So we see that the breath that comes down from this heavenly air enters into Ashwapati. And then a presence, capital P, is born. A guiding light, capital L, awakes. Now Sri Aurobindo tells us something about presence, and this is something I found in one of his letters on yoga. You know that they are constantly receiving more and more letters from Sri Aurobindo at the archives. You have families whose parents have died, and they have no interest in this yoga, and they send all the letters. So now from the 4 volumes of letters on yoga, I believe we have 5. So,
Narad, I have a question.
yes.
Why is it that you have people doing the yoga and their children not following the path?
Mm-hmm.
So
Sure.
more often.
Yeah.
But why?
Why? Well, the West that has come to India is very enticing. Sex, drugs, clothing, so many things, huh?
Ambition.
And
Ambition.
ambition, greed, power. All these things are so inviting, and maybe those children were not meant for this yoga. In fact, Sri Aurobindo says, don't do this yoga unless you can totally commit yourself. He says, you do something else. Okay. It is intended by the word presence to indicate the sense and perception of the divine as a being, the one who is in us, felt as present in one's existence and consciousness, or in relation with it, without the necessity of any further qualification or description. Thus, of the ineffable presence, it can only be said that it is there, and nothing more can or need be said about it, although at the same time one knows that all is there, personality and impersonality, power and light and ananda and everything else, and that all these flow from that indescribable presence. The word may be used sometimes in a less absolute sense, but that is always the fundamental significance, the essential perception of the essential presence supporting everything else. How beautiful. One more from Essays Divine and Human. Beyond mind on spiritual and supramental levels dwells the presence, the truth, the power, the bliss that can alone deliver us from these illusions, display the light of which our ideals are tarnished disguises, and impose the harmony that shall at once transfigure and reconcile all the parts of our nature. There are pages on the presence. Can you imagine? A stillness falls upon the instruments, fixed, motionless, like a marble monument, stone calm. The body is a pedestal, supporting a figure of eternal peace. Pedestal, a support, a foundation. The body is just a pedestal, supporting a figure of eternal peace. We should look at peace a little. In Letters on Yoga, again, he has 3 statements. Peace is the very basis of all the siddhi in the yoga. Peace is a still more positive condition. It carries with it a sense of settled and harmonious rest and deliverance. Peace is a calm deepened into something that is very positive, amounting almost to a tranquil, waveless ananda. Or, well, let me go back to that last line. Supporting a figure of eternal peace. Or a revealing force sweeps blazing in out of some vast, superior continent. Knowledge breaks through, trailing its radiant seas, and nature trembles with the power, the flame. Well, um,
root chakra.
which line are you referring to?
The stone calm body is a pedestal,
Yeah.
and blazing sweeps, blazing force blazing in, and another thing is knowledge breaks through trailing its radiancies. So the pouring of knowledge comes after the awakening of the kundalini.
Yeah, but here we're talking about the peace.
Peace
That
distance.
the peace that's so vast and so calm that in Ashwapati it breaks through, trailing its radiant seas. And even nature, it's so powerful that even nature trembles with the power, the flame. This is Agni, of course. Now, this is very interesting. A greater personality sometimes possesses us, which yet we know is ours. Or we adore the master of our souls. So, you see, although we're learning about Ashwapati, we are also learning about ourselves. And so this greater personality, Sri Aurobindo defines as personality is only a temporary mental, vital, physical formation which the being, the real person, the psychic entity, puts forward on the surface. It is not the self in its abiding reality. Impersonality is, in the original, undifferentiated truth of things, the pure substance of nature of the being, the person. In the dynamic truth of things, it differentiates its powers and lends them to constitute by their variations the manifestation of personality. So this is so interesting that this greater personality sometimes comes into us and possesses us, which yet we know is ours. I think all of us have felt this, perhaps many times. Or we adore the master of our souls. And so we have in the Life Divine this most beautiful passage, which I have to share with you. The master and mover of our works is the one, the universal and supreme, the eternal and infinite. He is the transcendent unknown or unknowable absolute, the unexpressed and unmanifested ineffable above us. But he is also the self of all beings, the master of all worlds, transcending all worlds, the light and the guide, the all beautiful and the all blissful, the beloved and the lover. He is the cosmic spirit and all creating energy around us. Wow. He is the immanent within us. And then this line that I memorized so many years. All that is he. And he is the more than all that is. And we ourselves, though we know it not, are being of his being. Force of his force. Conscious with a consciousness derived from his. I'd like to read it one more time. All that is he. and He is the more than all that is. And we ourselves, though we know it not, are being of His being, conscious with a consciousness derived from His. Even our mortal existence is made out of His substance. And there is an immortal within us that is a spark of the light and bliss that are forever. And now this last sentence, so powerful. No matter whether by knowledge, works, love, or any other means, to become aware of this truth of our being, to realize it, to make it effective here or elsewhere, is the object of all yoga. Then the small bodily ego thins and falls, no more insisting on its separate self, losing the punctilio of its separate birth. Punctilio, we can say, is a few ways. A fine point, a particular, or a detail. Sometimes it's of conduct, sometimes it's of ceremony, sometimes it's of procedure. So in this case, it's probably procedure or detail of conduct, losing the punctilio of its separate birth. Now, we are all still very much aware of our separate birth. You are William, I am Narad, you are Ronnie. We're very much aware. But here we lose, when we get into what I've just read, we lose this punctilio of its separate birth. And what happens then? It leaves us one with nature and with God.
Well, here comes one of your favorite lines.
Yes. In moments when the inner lamps are lit and the life's cherished guests are left outside, our spirit sits alone and speaks to its gulfs. And I'm sorry, but I have to go to the next page. What is it? 48, yeah. A wider consciousness opens then its doors, invading from spiritual silences. A ray of the timeless glory stoops a while to commune with our seized, illumined clay, and leaves its huge white stamp upon our lives. In moments when the inner lamps are lit and the life's cherished guests are left outside, our spirit sits alone and speaks to its gulfs. A wider consciousness opens then its doors, invading from spiritual silences. A ray of the timeless glory stoops a while to commune with our seized, illumined clay, and leaves its huge white stamp upon our lives. And I'll read a little more, and because this is so powerful. When this happens, it happened with me when I met Mother. There's no other description of what I could say that suddenly you are taken into this vastness and this huge presence of love descends upon you. And for me, when Mother lit the flame, it was the experience of my life. I could see the flame here, and it started to burn, and it grew higher and higher and stronger until it was consuming me, but there was no heat. It was just Agni. And it went on for 20 minutes. And at the end, this young 23-year-old just fell at her feet and wept. In the oblivious field of mortal mind, revealed to the closed prophet eyes of trance, or in some deep internal solitude, witnessed by a strange immaterial sense, the signals of eternity appear. What are they? The truth mind could not know unveils its face. We hear what mortal ears have never heard. We feel what earthly sense has never felt. We love what common hearts repel and dread. Our minds hush to a bright omniscient. A voice calls from the chambers of the soul. We meet the ecstasy of the Godhead's touch in golden privacies of immortal fire. From the Upanishads, we have omniscient capitalized. Sri Aurobindo tells us the omniscient is not born nor dies, nor has he come into being from anywhere, nor is he anyone. He is unborn, he is constant and eternal. He is the Ancient of Days, who is not slain in the slaying of the body. And lastly, from the secret of the Veda, this is the omniscient who knows the law of our being and is sufficient to his works. Let us build the song of his truth by our thought, and make it as if a chariot on which he shall mount. When he dwells with us, then a happy wisdom becomes ours. With him for friend, we cannot come to harm. Echoing the Gita, doesn't it? Krishna says,
Yes, it does.
tell me,
I don't
the lines.
I don't remember the lines, but I know it very
Yeah.
clearly.
Yeah,
That I will not be slain by the
yes,
slaying of the body.
right.
And no water can, I don't become wet with
Yes,
all that
yeah.
explanation.
Yeah. Any questions?
I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
And the life's cherished guests are left outside. So,
Who are these guests?
Passion, greed, power, lust,
okay.
all these things. They're the cherished guests of most people's lives,
Sure.
unfortunately.
And then in the next line,
our spirit sits alone and speaks to its gulfs. Yeah.
Yeah, its depths. Speaks to its depths. The depths of our spirit speaking to ourself, our true self. And then what happens? Mightier presence. Okay, good. Ronnie, anything? Questions?
No, no question.
Okay.
Well, actually, it's
Ah,
so
there.
irrelevant. I was not going to mention it, but I'm not. I haven't completely absorbed the huge white stamp. It's a strange expression to me
Upon
still.
our lives.
Yeah.
It's a presence. It's a power.
Okay.
So you see it just as a stamp, but it's an impressive power, an impressive thing that
Okay.
descends on us.
Okay.
Okay.
You can see it around people.
Hmm?
You can see it around people if you try. But it's, I don't know.
No, no, no.
Have you seen it?
This is an
The aura?
experience.
What happened?
Yeah, in photographs sometimes
When
you
you
can see, we can see
experience,
around
it
some
leaves
people,
an impression.
like there's more light.
That's sort of a halo, I think.
Experience only leaves the impression.
More of a halo.
Right. Yeah. It was just the expression.
They show the
of
saints
stamp.
having halos
Couldn't quite
very
put
often.
it together, but it's okay.
Saint Francis, Saint John. Okay. Concentrate and Om. Namaste.
Narad, when you complete that Om, it's like as if the church organ comes to the beat.
No, you will hear it